All right, from Snap to WhatsApp, the messaging service owned by Facebook is now under fire by British police. Authorities say 52-year-old Briton Khalid Massoud is believed to have used WhatsApp right before he went on a killing rampage last week in London to have some encrypted conversation with somebody. The messaging service uses encrypted networks, making it way more difficult to know whether Massoud was acting with an accomplice. British lawmakers now want tech companies to help intelligence agencies have access to such messages. But you know this old story. Tech firms have not been on board so far. Foundation for Defense of Democracy's founder and president, Clifford May, certainly has an opinion on this. All right, Cliff, you're part of a group called Defense of Democracies. Some people believe defending democracy means defending privacy. However, others look at this and say, come on, WhatsApp and Facebook, cough up this information. Let's find out if this guy was in cahoots with somebody. Where do you stand?
Well, I think there's a balance that can be struck. I don't think it's impossible. I'm glad there is such a thing as encrypted messaging services. I utilize one. I utilize more than one because there are a lot of bad actors out there who should not be reading my communications. That said, certainly, after you have a terrorist attack like we had in London last week, you certainly want to be able to know who was in communication with the terrorists, what were they saying to him, what was he saying to others. I think that's legitimate, and I think in that case, there's reason to open up to law enforcement and intelligence. It can save lives, and I think it doesn't mean everything's an open book. It doesn't mean you get rid of encryption. It means you make exceptions. You have certain protocols for those exceptions.
Well, imagine who he may have called 3 minutes or minutes before this attack. Maybe they could just give up just in text what was said instead of just letting the officials look into their books. And by the way, Facebook says, quote, it is cooperating with law enforcement. But Facebook also says that encrypted and private communication is one of our core beliefs. That's a tough fence to straddle.
It's a tough fence to straddle, but it's not impossible. And we have some history and some background in this area. I hesitate to use the phrase wiretapping, but in the old days, you wanted to wiretap a spy, or you wanted to wiretap a suspected criminal. You could do so, but you had to get the courts to weigh in.
Cliff,
it wasn't something that you could automatically do. Shouldn't be automatic, but there should be a way to do it where there is a legitimate national security concern.
Right, or even when they're looking at money laundering, they subpoena the banks, and the banks give up the information, the transaction. I want to get to Iran because Iran, of course, has imposed sanctions on about 15 U.S. companies, among them Raytheon and ITT. I believe UTX is in there. That's, of course, a big conglomerate. The common thread is that they all sell to Israel. Whatever it is, they sell it. Okay, so Iran hates Israel. We understand that. That's quite obvious and typical of them. But it's just ironic to me that they don't have Boeing on this list. Boeing has sold F-35s to Israel, and yet they've also sold commercial airlines to Iran. It almost looks like they're picking and choosing. What does this look like to you?
Oh. Of course, they're picking and choosing. They're picking and choosing in the most hypocritical way. None of this is based upon principle. Look, they can sanction anyone they want. Their economy is not that strong. I hope their economy will not, with our help, become a whole lot stronger. They are genocidal, openly so, in their intentions towards Israel, and they would like to wage economic warfare against Israel for its existence, not for a change of policies. That's an important distinction what people have to recognize here. As for Boeing, they want those Boeing planes, and I think it's pretty clear they want to use those Boeing planes.
Okay.
Not just to take people abroad on vacation, but also to send weapons of destruction to places like Syria and Lebanon, where they're going to do great damage. I don't think we should be doing business with Iran, and certainly not with those most responsible for terrorism coming out of Iran, such as the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. I think any business that is doing transactions with them is on very thin ice.
We shall see. Thank you very much, Clifford May. Breaking news, and we need to get to this right now. President